It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show! Hey everybody, welcome to the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me is Mike Marlowe.
Hey gang.
And that's all who's joining me.
And I'm it. Hope I'm funny.
Life events has prevented all of us from getting together this week. So what we're going to be doing is presenting a previously recorded podcast. But before that, let's see how things have been going. How's your week been, Mike?
Um, it's been a obviously crazy week because we couldn't all get together during the week.
Good. Yeah.
The one thing that was cool, actually, this was kind of last weekend, that I managed to do that I thought was interesting was I finally got to see The Witch. Did you see The Witch?
The Witch. Okay, refresh my memory. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say no.
Probably not, yeah. Well, and the deal here is that I'm slow to watch movies. So
Right.
this came out 6, 8 months ago. I want to say it came out kind of like last Halloween-ish. It may have even been before that. But yeah, it's basically a story set in like colonial times. And it kind of goes through the progress of a self-described witch infestation, let's call it.
Okay.
And it was really cool. I really like it. It was they really embraced like the historical parts of it. And I sort of read something after the fact, not before I saw the movie, but after I read something, and the guy who directed the movie was his deal with it was he wanted to make it kind of as historically accurate as he could get away with, and he also wanted to keep in mind that these are the kinds of things that people believed were real at the time, and so yeah, so it got pretty. It's a really intense movie. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it's very intense. And the end just gets really wild. But yeah, so it's really good. It's not necessarily for the faint of heart, but it's not particularly gory either. I mean, you could argue that this is not even a horror movie, but it's a lot more fun if you watch it that way.
Okay. The plot follows a Puritan family encounter forces of evil in the woods beyond their New England farm. That's not it, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the one.
Forces that may be either real or imagined.
Mm-hmm. That's the one.
Okay. Sounds interesting.
And yeah, it's a little tricky to follow at times because, like I said, historical accuracy,
Mm-hmm.
down to the language in the dialogue. So you kind of have to think about it a little bit, but man, worth it. Entirely worth it.
Made its world premiere at the Sundance Film Festival in 2015.
Yep.
Okay. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well, other than me getting sick there for a little bit, I got drafted in to be part of the HeroClix tournament Friday night. And it has been so long since I had played HeroClix, and for those who we hadn't really discussed it on the podcast before, but Les and I have learned how to play HeroClix in the past year, and it's been quite a while since I've had an opportunity to play. But starting this past weekend was a new tournament. It's a story op tournament based off of Civil War, and we're talking the comic book version from several years ago.
So the original Civil War.
So yes, the original.
Okay.
Well, the original Marvel Civil War.
Right. Not the Abe Lincoln one. Oh, that would be funny.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if funny is the word.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about funny, but
It would be a different game.
yeah. So I went in cold, trying to remember all the terminology and remembering how I could do things and stuff. And it was frustrating to a point, but I did have a little fun. And with the little group that I was in a group of four. There was about three groups of four, and I came in second place. And the only reason why I came in second place is because the guys who came in third and fourth couldn't roll to save their lives. Otherwise, yeah, I probably would have been in last place, and I would have been happy. I've been fine with that because I mean, you know,
Right, you hadn't
so
played in a while.
yeah.
Yeah, you started the story in the first. You said you got dragged in, and the first thing I thought was he won, didn't he?
Oh no, there was no way. There was no way I was gonna win because the first place was 260 points and I was 80.
Oh, wow.
That's because guy who came in first place, Ricky, eliminated another player's entire team.
Ouch.
Five clicks. I eliminated one, and then my opponent that came in third, he eliminated one of mine, and then the fourth place didn't get any points at all. So it was interesting because this was a draft, and I've never experienced a draft before. And I'm sure it's different as opposed to a draft in the cards because with this being Civil War, the clicks are either pro-registration or anti-registration.
Right.
So the basis of the clicks, if you were pro-registration, you were Team Iron Man. The bases were red. If you were anti-registration, your Team Cap. Your bases were blue.
So was it like two of you drawing Team Red and two of you drawing Team Blue, or were you
Yeah,
just drawing?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But what we did was we were all giving a booster box, and for those who are not familiar with the Hero Clicks, booster box contains 5 figures,
Mm-hmm.
and in this case there were 2 were Team Cap, 2 were Team Iron Man, and 1 neutral. And depending on which designation you were, and I was not by choice, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. I was pro registration, so I had to take the 2 Team Iron Man figures and then the neutral, and then I had to give the Team Caps to someone else who is obviously anti-registration, and then I took his 2 Team Iron Mans to put together our teams.
Right.
So it was kind of interesting that it happened that way, and then we did our battle royale until the time limit hit, and then after that we basically did a draft of who gets what of those particular clicks. So it was an interesting experience. It was just the only negative was just it had been so bad, and basically I let it get to me that I had been so out of practice. But it was a fun experience. So
Cool.
yeah.
Okay, so as we alluded to earlier, given our difficulties in getting together this week, we kind of had to change the strategy a bit. Fortunately, we started out with the whole idea that we were going to record everything we ever did based around this podcast. So, I mean, including the like half a dozen episodes we recorded before episode 1, which are so dated now, I don't know that we could ever present them to the public. But since this came later, what we're going to present to you guys for this week is what was essentially our test recording with Holly, because it only made sense to kind of get on mic before we get on mic, as it were. And so we decided to talk about comic book characters that we wanted to see in their own solo titles. And it was fun. It was interesting because keep in mind, if there's anything that makes this interesting, for me anyway, it's that you have to understand that Holly and I had never met before this recording.
That's true.
She had known Les and Tom for a while, But I had never met Holly before this recording, so listen to the recording and with that in mind. But so I guess without further ado, here comes what is essentially our topic for this week.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Schick, and joining me for today's episode, we have Mike Marlowe.
Hi, gang.
And Les Webster.
Hello all.
And Holly Briggs.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Groovy.
Doing well.
Doing good.
Woohoo! Hope everybody out there is doing well. Thank you for joining us for today's episode. And what we're going to talk about today is if you had the power to give a character, and it doesn't have to be just DC or Marvel, it could be some other publisher, their ongoing series, who would it be and why would you want to do that? Why that particular character? Mike, did you say that you wanted to drop one off, start us off?
Sure. I will throw my first one out there.
Okay.
I went with Henry Lyme. Henry Lyme is he's a fairly main character in the Matt Kent series Mind Management, which is a Dark Horse book that I want to say ended a couple of months ago, wrapped up with I think it was issue 36. And the reason I chose him was because he's not the main focus character, although he does have the camera on him quite a bit. But the world that Kent built for this title was so rich and so detailed, and it was just layers upon layers upon layers of world building and storytelling. And they told a lot of the story in 36 issues. He told a lot of the story in 36 issues. But he told it in such a way that you just can't help but want more. And so I think there were several things that you hear alluded to that Henry Lyme did in his time in Mind Management, and you're like, oh man, it would be so cool to hear his story based on some of that stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's a good choice. I hadn't thought about him, but yeah.
So many of the other characters in there would be in and out of that story anyway. It would hardly be like a separate title from Mind Management anyway, but it would still be. I'd still love to go back to that series for a long, long time.
That's a pretty cool choice. I'll go next, and the first one I would like to see would be for Marvel, Doctor Doom. And not so much the whole bad guys versus good guys, the power thing, the superpowers and that kind of stuff. I think he's an interesting character. The fact that he is a ruler of Latveria, and his subjects love him and worship him as a hero, yet the rest of the world thinks of him as, obviously as the villain that he is. And I think there could be some nice political stories that you can do based off that, plus the fact that he is a scientific genius and he does dabble in sorcery. I think there's several different avenues you can go with the character other than him battling the hero of the month or that kind of thing. You could definitely do some other things with him, and I think it would really, really be a good title. You would have to get the right writer to handle it, and I was trying to think about who would handle that well, and there's several choices, but that would be one that I would definitely love to see, and I think it would do real well.
I like that idea a lot. I think
I
didn't even think of him. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that you could do political intrigue stories,
Mm-hmm.
and have him saving his own country.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking someone, and I think, Thomas, you may agree with this, Cullen Bunn could do this.
Yes, that would be a good choice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because he does handle a little intrigue with Sinestro and some other titles.
Right.
So I could see him fitting in. He can present a villain competently.
And it doesn't just have to be regarding political intrigue, just from foreign countries or that kind of thing. There could be some stuff internal too.
Yes.
So I think that would be a pretty cool series. I would definitely read that, especially if Cullen Bunn wrote it.
Oh yeah.
If you want to hear a little, I got a little sidetrack on that.
Okay.
Have any of you seen the series Avengers Assemble?
Mm-mm.
No.
Dr. Doom did a few cameos. And the guy who did his voice, I think it's just a perfect choice. It was Maurice LaMarche did his voice.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Or the Brain.
The Brain.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was like just right on the edge of hammy, but not quite, and very serious. But just like flirting with the over the top, just right on the line of where it would have any more and it would have been over the top. He did a really great job. That was kind of my point. But yeah.
Cool. Well, okay. Holly, what do you have?
Well, I will go ahead and put my, I guess, what for me started this topic. For me, it's hard to believe there isn't one, but I think that there should definitely at some point in the near future be a Mera, Queen of Atlantis series, because not only has she not had one, but it's like prime time for her to have one, with her going to be introduced supposedly in the Justice League Part 1 movie coming out, and then she's supposed to play a pretty heavy part in Aquaman, so it would be very wise of them, to do that anyway, so that people are more familiar with her. I know she's been pretty heavy involved, in the recent Aquaman series. She's on like almost every cover, it seems like. But I think it would be interesting for her to have her own, and it would just be the perfect tie-in right now with the movies. So I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if it's going to ever happen, this is probably the only time, because, it's a good time for people that don't really know who she is that are going to need to, since she'll be heavily involved. So that's my 2 cents on Mera.
Would be a good idea to prime the pump.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. So then
Good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Now would be the time. Exactly. I think it would be a really good choice. And she is a good character. I do like her.
Yeah. I think she can almost be more interesting than Aquaman himself, but that's also coming from a woman's perspective.
Right.
I obviously, so.
And talking about a book that was written by Cullen Bunn, he was the previous writer.
Mm-hmm.
It all comes around.
Wasn't that the book that people hated him for, though?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I didn't understand it because from what I read, it was really good.
And I say, screw them. Cullen Bunn is an awesome writer.
It was good from what I read. I just don't particularly care for the character, so that's the only reason why I didn't continue. But that's just me. But yeah, anything Cullen Bunn writes, I definitely pick up. Mr. Webster.
What you got?
I was looking at war comics. Both DC and Marvel were thick with them back in the 60s. And one of the characters I would like returned is Blackhawk. I would like to see a new series staged during the Second World War. Don't revitalize them in the 90s or the 2000s, because you've got such a singular threat to the world, and with the thought of him fighting in the Second World War, he had to overcome both the Japanese and the Germans. The thing is, there was a bit of fantasy, as we all know, in those stories also. the War Wheel is one of them. And just the idea of bringing back one of Will Eisner's characters to the front would please me to no end.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. More Eisner is what we need.
That could definitely be cool.
Yeah. Mikey, back to you.
Back to me. Oh,
Back
it's a
to you.
good thing I got another one then.
Woohoo! I assumed you had another one.
You were told to have 8.
I was not. There was not. I was not. I had to write all of them for everybody. So yeah. Okay, so this time I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to narrow this down. I came up with something pretty general, but I'm going to narrow it down. I'm going to go with Joacquim Morray, and he is the Lazarus for the Morray Collective in the Greg Rucka, Michael Lark book Lazarus series. Yeah. He's one of the Lazari. I actually think this would work for several of them. I had come up with him or Sonja Bittner. Either one of them would be just. I mean, they are at least or very close to as badass as Forever Carlisle. And I think that the way the Lazarus thing works is just really interesting and really lends itself towards the political intrigue aspect as well as just some down-home butt kicking. And those two are the ones that are kind of the best known, other than Forever in that series. And so I think it would be fun to kind of explore that dynamic with some of the other families in that world, in the Lazarus world.
Very cool. I hadn't thought about that.
Very good.
I really hadn't thought about that. That's a good job, man. My second pick, you may see a little bit of a theme here, but actually when I started thinking about this, I was like, I'm surprised that they hadn't done it, because we know some of the story, but it would be actually cool to see it actually happen. Ra's al Ghul, his rise to power, and the League of Assassins, and leading up to today, I think would be a very interesting tale. He's always been a very interesting character.
Yeah, kind of semi-mysterious.
But the problem is, you do something like this, all of a sudden you pulled up the veil, and now the mystery's gone. So that's one of the kind of the drawbacks when you do something like that. So, but I think it would be a pretty cool series. I think it would be very popular.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
I do too, because he didn't just come out of a Lazarus pit. He had to have found it somehow. How did he find it? Where did he begin? A good background story would be great for him.
Yep. I think it would be a pretty cool tale, but so.
Which came first, Ra's al Ghul or the Lazarus pit?
Good point. Did he create the Lazarus pit, or was it there to begin with, and he was able to locate it and then locate other locations for it or of it that he could use?
Yep, definitely. Holly?
So here's my my interesting one. So, of course, like most people currently, I'm slightly obsessed with Saga. So I was trying to think who I thought, would be interesting from that world to have a whole series. And after looking at everyone, I could not take myself away from one character that I was just like, more than anyone, I would love to have a full everything focused on Lion Cat. I was like, I mean, I love Lion Cat. I don't know. Are any of you guys reading Saga?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I love the idea, behind that, and I think it would be really interesting, even if they just, had a whole series where all he said was lying, kind of like anybody that read the last Groot series that Marvel did, where they didn't make him say anything else, but they were able to do the entire comic around that, and it wasn't real serious storylines or anything, but it was fun. And with Lion Cat, I think you could do something like that, that still had a lot of grit to it, and would be just interesting, where you could either go back in the past and see kind of the early days, or whatever, but I don't know, I thought that was kind of interesting. It'll never happen, but if it does, then it was me. I'm gonna take credit, but I just thought it would be interesting. So
Okay, if you get credit, I get partial credit, because my third choice, Lion Cat.
Shut up! Oh my gosh! Wow! Shut up! That is amazing. I love it. I love it. That is awesome. Wow.
Well, go ahead and tell your reasons, Mike, since...
Yeah, we're on it.
I can't lie. Lion Cat was the first one I thought of, and it was honestly a sarcastic knee jerk, because I was like, okay, this is a character that goes through this book, through all of these issues of this book, and only has the one word, and uses it so well. And it's such, just the timing is just beautiful every time. And so it was the first one I thought of. And I was like, I'm going to come up with some better ones than that. But there you go.
That's so weird. Okay, yeah,
wow,
that's amazing.
That's
So see, clearly they need to do it, because if
Obviously.
two of us, 2 out of 4 people pull that,
Are there not T-shirts? I mean, come on.
Yep.
Seriously, they've already done the T-shirts. Let's just, even just a 6-issue mini, just do it.
Yep.
Just do it.
Kickstart that shit. Yep.
Seriously.
Need to do it.
Les?
How do I follow? Well, keeping in the theme of lions and a boy from the future, I'm going to go with one of my favorites, who is an archaeologist and is a spaceman, Adam Strange. Adam Strange appeals to me because as a kid, spaceflight was unheard of. The astronauts did not start shooting into the air until, 1960? Therefore, the thought of a spaceman being able to fight creatures on another planet was awe-inspiring. I just loved the idea of a spaceman that could actually do this stuff. And in the early issues, in fact, almost the whole run, Adam Strange stories were done in one issue. You had a mystery, yes, and it was always how would Adam defeat the villain or creature. And it was finished at the end of the issue. You didn't have to wait a month or 2 months for the ending. And that's why I would say Adam Strange would be my second choice.
Cool.
Very good.
Could be fun.
Yep, definitely could be. Well, we've already heard Mike's third choice. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
I could wing. I have sort of an idea that I think would be interesting. It would be, and what makes it a kind of a variation from the rules is it's not a comic book character per se.
All right.
But I think it would make a fun comic book series.
Okay.
In kind of in the vein of Conan the Barbarian. I would be interested in seeing a series with Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, the Fritz Leiber creations.
Okay.
From back in the 60s and 70s. It would be it's sword and sorcery, adventure, and with kind of what I think would be a good bent toward the anti-hero sort of thing that's going on lately. Not necessarily excessively good guys. All of the bad guys were usually pretty bad. But I think it might translate well into a comic series.
I agree, because they did a run years ago called Swords of Sorcery, and that's where I was first introduced to the characters. Loved it. I had to grab the books and start reading. It was probably, I want to say six issues, maybe 12, but it was such a short run. It was sad to see it leave, and I want to say thank you for bringing that up. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, and now would be a good time, I think, because we're having a bit of a resurgence of fantasy comics. I mean, the Conan books are coming back. Red Sonja has been a huge hit thanks to Gail Simone.
And
like half of the Swords of Sorrow characters would fit in really well with all that. They're not all swords and sorcery types, but just to see more of some of that stuff would just be great. And I mean, yeah, it's two dudes, but who cares? It's still it's the same fantasy concepts, and I just think it would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree.
Definitely.
Me too.
Alrighty, my third choice. This may surprise some people, but I think she's gotten the short change for forever. I guess even ever since the original Crisis back in '85. But Bette Kane, who goes by the code name Hawkfire, she was the original Batgirl back in the '50s. And then after the Crisis, they gave her the code name Flamebird. And that's basically the reasons why I think she's a great character, but at this point they've really done nothing with her other than that she was a wannabe hero who was infatuated with Robin. They had her in the Batwoman series that she wanted to be trained to become a superhero, and Kathy Kane, who's Batwoman, kind of put her through it. But she eventually got this code name and this suit to call Hawkfire. I think it would be a pretty cool series. I think you can go anywhere with the character because she's basically a blank slate right now. There's not much to her right now that you could do anything with her if you wanted.
That's a great idea.
So yeah, because it's Flamebird. Was that it?
Yeah.
She had a great storyline. She only got tossed in there once in a while, but it was so much fun to watch.
Well, when after the whole Crisis thing, she was pretty much she just wanted to be part of the Titans, and then she was supposedly the one who started up the Teen Titans West, but it was pretty much because she wanted to be a superhero, just like her idol Robin.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I'm blanking, who's writing Batwoman? Was it Williams?
Yeah.
Williams III?
Mm-hmm. J.H. Williams.
J.H. Williams, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Brought her on. It was still kind of, I wanted to be the superhero, but she wasn't the, oh my God, this would be fun if I can do this, and that kind of thing. It's just, I wanted to be a hero, and we saw what she went through, but after the cancellation of Batwoman, she's disappeared. So, I mean, she's, like I said, she is a blank slate that someone, if they wanted to, could take her and just do anything with her, and I think it would be an excellent opportunity.
Good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Holly?
Well, I didn't really have a solid third choice, but so I'm just going to be annoying and say somebody that I should be okay with because we've gotten a mini-series this year, but I'm not satisfied. So I love Poison Ivy, and as much as I'm really, really enjoying this mini-series, the Cycle of Life and Death that they're doing, I guess Amy Chu's doing that, but it's it's not enough for me. I hope that it does so well that they're forced to either make it an ongoing or something, because it's really great. And I feel like she is in the DC universe, whether it be villains or heroes. I feel like, at least from a female, she is one of the most powerful and I mean, she's just amazing. I don't know, in a world of Supergirls, no offense to Supergirl, I just think that she can be leaps and bounds above a lot of those heroes with substance. And I mean, they can take a comic so many different ways with her. She doesn't have to really be a villain. She doesn't have to be defined by anything like that. And, they can even go the route of it being more, she could almost get kind of Tomb Raider-esque, when it comes to searching for plants, or, they could do so many different things than what they do. They don't have to just stick her with Harley and make it this, kind of comedy routine. I mean, I think they could really get a lot of substance out of her if they wanted to, and if they had the right writer and everything. So,
and if they can find a way to give her a purpose.
Yes, no, definitely.
I agree. She is a popular character, so for this miniseries to be her first solo tale is kind of surprising. Yeah, they don't have to necessarily just do the whole supervillain type thing. She is a protector of the environment, and that's that could be an avenue that they can go that way. Yeah, that's a really good choice. I like that one.
I agree, because DC already has 2 Bat characters that are in that vein with Harley Quinn and Catwoman. They're not anti-heroes. They're not totally villains. And I could see this happening. I could see her facing off against Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Because of the environment attitude of the characters.
Definitely.
That's a very good choice. I like that one.
Yeah, that's
Thank
cool.
you.
Les.
For my third, I think that this is it's a group, and it should even have its own movie.
Uh-oh.
And that's Challengers of the Unknown.
Agreed.
I think that Ace, Prof, Rocky, Red, and June could have a really good film, and people would be reintroduced to characters, Jack Kirby characters, in fact, that they could enjoy. Sorry, I'm very strong on the DC tonight, but to me, this is a group that has adventure, has some mystery. It can go fantasy with it, and be solid all the way through. That's why I also believe that they could do the movie for it.
Let's go in DC. Surprise, surprise. Actually, you talk about a movie, I could see that being a really good ongoing series. Not necessarily regular TV, but Netflix or one of the cable channels. So they can do, so that kind of opens it up a little bit more. Not that they would really need to do anything that couldn't be shown on regular TV, but I think it would be a better avenue. And yeah, we definitely need to see more Challengers. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Of course, I'm a big fan of the Challengers too. So, any other choices? Any other suggestions for ongoings?
I think I'm tapped out.
I'm already making stuff up, so we probably shouldn't hit me up much more.
Okay, all right.
I keep staring at my bookshelf and probably come up with 4 or 5 more, but it would get weird. It would get weird fast.
Okay.
I would like to see one of them bring back a Western. I'm not going to be particular, because I think it's time to have a Western other than Jonah Hex to return to comics.
And I second Westerns. I just if the big two are going to do it, they really need to keep it westerns and not try to trick it up.
I agree.
Let's do a western and let's see if it sinks or swims on its own.
Did you guys read the Atomic Robo Western?
Mm-mm.
No, I have not.
It was their it was Atomic Robo and the Knights of the Golden Circle.
Yes.
Wow.
Robo got thrown back in time.
I will throw something out there for Les though, because I know he'll appreciate this. I would like it if they did a good tribute to Danger Girl and gave Sydney Savage and Natalia, gave everybody their own, at least a one shot, if not a 4-part miniseries. I could live with that.
I agree, and I think that's one that's viable for a TV series.
Oh hell yeah!
That could do so well on a cable channel.
Agreed. Oh yeah.
It's with as much espionage they have in it, plus the action, it could go very well, very easily.
Agreed. Cool. There's some really good suggestions tonight, guys. That's cool. We're gonna stop it right there, Mikey.
He died.
I didn't die. Why am I in charge all of a sudden? I'm still staring at my bookshelf, thinking, what the hell else could I pull out here?
Well, leave him hanging.
Yeah.
I'd almost go with at least a 6-issue mini run out of any of the gods from The Wicked and the Divine.
Oh. Yes. Amen. I did look. I picked that up and was thinking about that. That almost made my list. You could use any of them. You could use all of them.
And yeah, any one or any combination.
Oh, so sad little tangent on that. Did you see some of the? I saw. I don't know who it was. Some site posted their picks for like a movie or TV show, because I guess it's being looked at as a TV show.
Yeah, I kind of heard that.
Yeah, which I don't know how that's going to work, but
I don't either.
I think it's way too large scale for movie or TV. I think they might ruin it. But that being said, they had put up something with all the actors that they thought could play whoever, and it's massive. I mean, it's just, I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah,
it's way too large scale.
That would be, it would be really hard to. I mean, without finding a way to spread it out over this grand scope thing, you couldn't do it. You just couldn't. Yeah. There's too much stuff going on.
Agreed.
Then you would have to seriously dumb it down.
And that would lose all the appeal, in my opinion.
Right. It would be cowboys and aliens all over again.
Well, with what is it? They have 13 members of the Pantheon, or 12.
I believe
12. There are 12.
Yeah, I think 12 sounds right.
Yeah.
And even if they did 3-issue series for each, that could cover 3 years.
Jeez, yeah.
Woohoo. Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that. I mean, even if they did one-shots, if they did a double-size issue one-shot for each one.
Which I'm kind of shocked they haven't done, but it might come.
Well, they kind of dabbled with it in this last arc.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it was great for what it was, but yeah, I can't imagine them trying to narrow it down. I mean, I think it loses something in focusing too much.
Yeah, I agree.
And it doesn't work as well.
The mystery is good sometimes.
Yeah, and the interaction, you lost some interaction in all of that, and it just didn't. Like I said, it was good, but it wasn't as good as the first 2 arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if they did a 3-issue of the Pantheon itself, I don't know.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Some very good choices. Anyone want to add anything else before we sign off?
Not that I'm aware of. Thank you.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'm tapped out.
Yeah. Well, of course, after we get through with this, and when I lay down tonight, I'll probably, this one. So,
Of course.
it's about right.
Just made your pad and pencil right there by the front or by the nightstand. So.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Just don't call me at 3 in the morning and say, hey, listen to this.
Hey, how about this one? Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. And when we come back, we'll have this week's picks. And we're back to do this week's picks. And, of course, it's just Mikey and me, so we have the other guys' picks.
They phoned theirs in.
Or Facebooked it in this case.
Yeah.
So
Facebook has this cool thing called secret groups, apparently, and we have a secret group, and none of you are invited. Of course, we also have the usual fellowship group that everybody's invited to, but so it's cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm going to start off with Holly's picks, and her first is Wonder Woman Rebirth #1. I'm not sure which is the bigger news here, the fact that Greg Rucka is back writing Wonder Woman,
Woohoo.
or Liam Sharp doing the art and the cover, although Paulo Siqueira, I don't want to forget him, is involved in this issue. But Liam has been getting a lot of notice from his art just from the get-go. So
Woo. This
is introducing the new Wonder Woman title, and I'm excited about this as well. It ought to be a lot of fun, because they did throw a little bit of a mystery in the DC Universe Rebirth, or no, it was not that. It was Justice League 50. So, and apparently that's going to be something that they will be examining in her own book. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be interesting to read. And her second pick is Wacky Raceland. It's the third in the Hanna-Barbera reimagining line. If y'all are familiar with the Wacky Racer cartoons from, I want to say late 60s?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Late 60s, early 70s. It was, yeah. What was basically the golden age of Hanna-Barbera.
Right. Where every episode was a group of racers doing the next leg of the big long race. It's a similar concept, except for it's set in sort of a Mad Max world.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the premise is they all have to work together to get to this utopian land, but only one can be admitted. But they all have to help each other get there. So they're trying to work together, except for obviously Dick Dastardly, who wants to sabotage it. And of course, if you're familiar with the cartoons, it always backfired on him. So same thing would probably be here. They're gonna have to bail his ass out, otherwise, they're all screwed. So it sounds like a really cool idea.
It kind of does.
So
sounds like a departure from the original Wacky Racers, but it sounds like an interesting departure.
Yeah, I think there's enough of a little twist there that I can't imagine it not being good. It sounds like it could be a real treat. So, Mikey, what did Les have?
Well, Les has got a couple of books this week, but that's how we usually do it. And his first book is one that I actually almost picked myself, and it is The Fix. This is issue 3 coming out this week, and it's an Image book. And if you're following along with The Fix, Roy is a cop who is, let's just say, not entirely honest. And he has, let's just say, he has some gambling debts that he needs to pay off. And so in this issue, he's supposedly going to take on kind of a private security gig, and I'm sure hilarity will ensue, because that is how this book works, folks. It is this is a hilarious book. And so you should definitely jump on it soon, if not already. If not, go pick up issue 1 and start there, because it's a riot. His second pick is Empress. This is number 3, coming out this week, and it's a Marvel book. And what's going on in this story is that Emporia is running. She is the Empress, and she is running away with her children from the Emperor, who is not a nice man. And he's, in this issue, it looks like he's going to have some new and interesting things to throw at them to try to get his kids back, because that's really ultimately what he wants. He doesn't appear to be interested in Emporia at all. So it's going to be exciting. All right, Tom, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to continue the DC love this week from Holly with, it's not only DC love, it's a little Dan Abnett love.
Mm-hmm.
Starting off with Aquaman Rebirth number 1, with art by Oscar Jimenez and covers by Brad Walker and Andrew Hennessy. And it sounds like from what he's going to be doing with the book is Aquaman decides that, you know what, Atlantis cannot just be its own separate nation, that it really needs to be a part of the world as well. And so that's what he's going to try to accomplish, but there's forces on either side that not exactly happy about this. So it sounds like an interesting start. So we're going to get a little political in the Aquaman. Not that there hadn't been political aspects in it before, but so I mean, we'll see. It sounds good, and like I said, it's Dan Abnett, and he can do no wrong in my eyes.
He's good. I'll give you that.
And my second pick to continue the DC Dan Abnett love is Earth 2 Society number 13, with art by Federico Dall'Occhio, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, I'm sure I did. If you have not been following this series, it's spun out of Earth 2 World's End event and Convergence, where a new Earth has been created out of bits and pieces from other worlds, and the heroes of the world are trying to protect the planet and trying to maintain the peace, especially now with a potential war about to begin, because there is there's very little natural resources on this planet. So in this particular issue, Hawkgirl may have found something that may work, but we'll see if she will be successful. Not sure how much longer this book's going to be around with the Rebirth starting up, but it's been a great read. I've been enjoying this. I enjoyed the original Earth 2 book, and who knows? I don't know if these heroes are going to be around after this. So, Mikey, what you got?
Alrighty. Now we get to do my own picks. So my first one is Renato Jones, The 1%. This is issue number 2. It's another Image book. I got a lot of love for Image this week. And this is a fun little story. Renato Jones is a guy who was lost as a kid. He was a missing child, and I mean for like 3 or 4 years, and got brought back to his very wealthy, opulent lifestyle at like the age of 11, and decided, since he had lived in poverty for those few years and understood what it meant, that he wanted to basically become a tool of vengeance for the working class. And so he's this really rich guy who's basically turned himself into an assassin and is taking out rich people who are very nasty to poor people. And that's almost a clinical definition or explanation, and it's a lot more fun than that, mainly because it's very over the top and it's a lot of fun. Like I said, this is issue 2, so we will see this week a little more of where the story is really going to go, so it'll be fun. My second pick for this week is another Image book. It is Faster Than Light. This is issue number 7, so we're into the second arc. The first arc of this story was based on the premise that it's relatively near future, and we have discovered the secrets of faster than light travel, and there are actually story elements behind that discovery that I won't go into because you should read the book. And so now, so the first arc, it was just a matter of kind of getting the ship launched and starting to get a sense of basically how this is going to work. The second arc is a little bit, it's like a year later, and now Earth politics is starting to bleed into things quite a bit. And now that humans are starting to interface with other alien species, how the fact that politics on Earth is affecting that, and how it's affecting essentially the crew of the ship, it's really deep. There's a lot of layers to it. It's very interesting. So far it's actually been more of a political story than a science fiction story, which, that's cool too. I like it both ways, honestly, as far as that goes. So definitely one to check out.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the one where you can download an app and there's a lot of really cool stuff?
There's an online element to this one.
Yeah.
So that's worth checking out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it is, because I've seen some of that and I'm like, that's really cool. I like it. Yeah. Very good picks all the way around. Let's go ahead and do our shout outs. Of course, always Manny the Martyr for the awesome music that we are allowed to use as our opening and closing.
Mm-hmm. Go check them out.
Yeah, definitely. If you go to our website, to the podcast page, we have a link to their website. And also, shout out to Potter and family who've been spreading the love and the word of the fellowship. We appreciate that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Any other shout outs?
No, just our awesome listeners.
Yeah, yes, thank you for checking us out, downloading. We always appreciate any kind of feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. And please, if you're downloading from, or if you're listening from Google Play, Stitcher, or iTunes,
tell them you love us.
Yes, please. Any kind of reviews, any reviews would be appreciated. We would greatly love good reviews, but
that would be nice. But we also follow your heart, and tell your friends.
Tell your friends, exactly.
Force them to download our show too. But because they're your friends, they'll do what you tell them.
That's right.
That always works.
And as our usual, comments are always appreciated. If you want to email us, email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or if you go to our About Us page, there is a contact form that you can fill out there if you'd like. You can follow us on Facebook at the Fellowship of the Geeks. We are also on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Mikey has a personal page at Mikey Geek. Holly is at Holly Blake with 3 E's. And one of these days we need to ask her why it's 3 E's. I assume it's because there was already a Holly Blake and then Holly Blake with 2 E's. But
could be.
But it could be simple as that. But someday we'll have to ask her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at Tom TC Geek. Once again, thank y'all so very much for downloading and checking us out. It's very much appreciated. I hope next time things will be a lot more, or be more normal. I was going to say it's going to be a lot
normal for us, anyway.
Normal, yeah. Define normal.
Yeah, we should all be back next week, as far as we know.
Yeah. So, until then, guys, y'all take care. Read more comics and support your local stores. We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email at thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,